Michael never imagined marriage would test his patience the way it did in the first few years. He loved Sarah deeply, but she had a habit that ate away at him more than she realized. She often dismissed his feelings, brushing off his concerns as if they were trivial. At first, Michael stayed quiet. He believed love meant patience, and patience meant swallowing the little hurts. But over time, the little things piled up, until silence became a burden he could no longer carry. One evening, Sarah made a sharp remark during dinner with friends, laughing at Michael's expense. She didn't notice the way his smile faltered, or how the room grew uncomfortably quiet. To her, it was a harmless joke. To him, it was another wound. That night, as they drove home, Michael barely spoke. Sarah noticed but didn't ask. She assumed he would simply move on like he always did. But Michael realized something had to change. Not with anger, not with shouting, but with a lesson Sarah would never forget. The next morning, instead of leaving for work as usual, Michael sat Sarah down at the kitchen table. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Sarah," he began, "do you know how it feels to love someone so much that you hide your pain just to keep peace?" She frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" Michael met her eyes. "I've let things slide for too long. Every time you dismiss my feelings, every time you laugh at my expense, I tell myself it doesn't matter. But it does, Sarah. It matters more than you realize." For the first time, Sarah didn't have a quick reply. She opened her mouth, then closed it, sensing the gravity in his tone. He continued, "Last night, when you made that joke, it wasn't just embarrassing, it showed me how little you see the weight I carry. I've been patient, but patience without respect is just quiet suffering." Sarah's chest tightened. She had never heard him speak like this. It wasn't anger. It was deeper, disappointment, hurt, and love all tangled together. Michael stood and handed her an envelope. Inside were notes he had written over the past year. Each page described a moment when she had hurt him with her words or dismissiveness. He hadn't planned to show them, but now felt it was the only way. Sarah's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. Tears blurred her vision as she read his quiet pain in black ink. Each note was a reminder of a time she had laughed, teased, or brushed him off without realizing the scars it left. Her heart broke. "Michael, I had no idea. Why didn't you tell me?" "I tried," he said softly. "But you didn't listen. So I wrote it down, waiting for the day you would be ready to hear me." Sarah dropped the papers onto the table, covering her face with her hands. She wept, the weight of her carelessness crashing down. Michael gently reached for her hand. "I don't want an apology, Sarah. I want change. Love is not just about sharing joy. It's about protecting each other's dignity, even in small things." Through her tears, she nodded. "You're right. I've been selfish. I thought teasing was harmless, but I see now that it wasn't. I see how much I've taken your patience for granted." Michael leaned back, his eyes still steady. "I taught you this lesson not to hurt you, but to remind you that love is fragile. If we don't guard it, it will break." That moment marked a turning point. Sarah promised herself she would never again belittle the man who had given her his heart. In the weeks that followed, she began to notice her words more carefully. When old habits tried to surface, she remembered the stack of notes, each one a scar she never wanted to inflict again. Michael, too, changed. He no longer bottled up his feelings. He spoke openly, firmly, knowing that silence could become poison. Their marriage grew stronger, not because they avoided conflict, but because they learned to face it with honesty and respect. Years later, Sarah would still recall that morning at the kitchen table as the day everything shifted. It was the day she learned that love is not just about grand gestures, but about the small acts of kindness that keep hearts safe. And she never forgot the lesson Michael had taught her, the lesson that respect and love walk hand in hand, and without one, the other cannot survive.